Hey there, hello folks, and welcome to Hogarth's Global Astrology, and thank you too to my new subscribers. Thanks so much. It's just great. Yeah, it's nice to have more people on board. Still small, but you know, it's developing, it's growing, and I'm so glad that people are enjoying the content and leaving comments. Right, today's subject. First of all, many people may be either seeing this maybe just after I've done my collaboration, but I'm doing today, this evening, after I've made this video, I'm doing a collaboration with Diane, Diane's Tarot, or Diane Aquarius, incredibly talented tarot reader with amazing powers of intuition. So that is coming up once this video is done, depending on if I can get this up before or after I've done the collaboration. It will be in the description at some point. But as a separate video, I wanted to with Diane's Tarot, we're going to be talking about the US elections, America, and all of the significance of that, and I'll be discussing in detail Trump, Biden, and Kamala Harris. I have found out some fascinating stuff about their charts and how it matches with the USA chart. But what I want to talk about today, this is a very important thing. We have a grand conjunction coming up between Jupiter and Saturn. It is happening on the winter solstice, which is December 21st, 2020, and it becomes pretty much perfect, at least UK time, on the 22nd. This conjunction happens once every 20 years. It's incredibly powerful, and what it means is that society goes through a whole reset. Now remember, I do sidereal astrology, so I'm going to be talking about the sidereal placements. And this is happening in sidereal Capricorn. And the last time this happened was in the 1960s. So we know what the 1960s were like. I think it was 1961 to be precise. And I think it was later on in that year. I've got it written down somewhere, but not with me right now. Doesn't matter. The point is this. When these two bubbies come together, Saturn and Jupiter, it's always good to have a little glyph going. Let me just see, actually, yeah, look, you can't really see it on there. Let me just give you a preview of my America chart. But if we see here, this is Saturn. This one here is Jupiter. I just thought I'd show you that. And for those that follow Diane's blog, you will recognize that astrological map, because we're going to be doing that in great detail, really getting into the nitty-gritty. But the point is, what is Saturn? Saturn is constraints. Saturn is confinement. He is the planet of lockdown, very closely associated with this virus. Even though I refer to it as the Gemini disease, because essentially it's to do with Mercury, the planet of communication, talking, hands, travel, all that stuff, which of course is being kiboshed. But Saturn is very much the planet of strife and disease and restrictions. However, there is a good side. There is a very, very good side to Saturn, which is this, which is discipline, structure, organization, hard work, rewards and gains, significant rewards and gains that come with wisdom, age, experience, and discipline. It's for no coincidence that overall people tend to get wealthier as they get older and they gain more experience. Now, of course, there's exceptions to the rules. This is real life. We all know this. It doesn't always all go perfect, but you will see that there is a trajectory there. So although Saturn is a very challenging planet, and he is exceptionally strong, not only for this year, because he's in his own sign of Capricorn, but he's going to be strong for the next 5 years, because he also rules the sign of Aquarius. So if you see here, it's maybe not so clear because this one's smaller, but this is Capricorn, this is Aquarius, and you see they're back to back. And Saturn tends to spend about 2.5 years in each sign. So 2.5 plus 2.5 equals what? 5. So 5 years. So we're going to see big restructuring. Whenever Saturn is in a house, and particularly in his own house, there's a lot of restructuring that goes on. Because in many ways, although he is a planet of restriction and permanence, he is also the planet of change. Many contradictions with Jupiter. But he is with Saturn, but he is meeting up with Jupiter. What's Jupiter? Jupiter is the big jolly one. Yeah, we sometimes refer to him as the Santa Claus of the zodiac. He's all about expansion, opportunity, jolly. In terms of jovial, that's where we get the word jovial from those people that are big and jolly and full of life. And he covers wealth in general, as liquidity. They say Jupiter looks after millionaires. Billionaires and such are looked after by Venus. And maybe some of the slightly sketchier ones are looked after by Pluto. But Jupiter deals with wealth in general. So when you have these two to come together, what you get is a very powerful point of manifestation in the chart. Because Jupiter provides all of the optimism, the guidance, the joy, the hope, and hopefully as well the liquidity and certainly opportunity. But then Saturn provides the discipline, the structure, the backbone. He is the planet of reality. So you need Saturn to make things happen. But not only make things happen, but in terms of things that last. So wherever these two planets come together, or whichever house they come together in your chart, because it is coming together in sidereal Capricorn. In the West, it's slightly ahead, so it's like just touching into Aquarius, depending on their calibration. But whichever house this falls into, you are going to have major changes in that area of life. And not only that, it is also the area of life where you have to contribute to society, something bigger than yourself, because these are two whopper planets and they're the social planets. They deal with the economy. And technically Jupiter is debilitated in this sign, but there's something called Nietzsche Banger, where because he's with the ruler of the sign, which is Saturn, it kind of cancels that out a bit. There'll still be a bit of sketchiness, but it's very powerful. Jupiter's going to do a lot better. And once, the big C is out the way, 2021, 2022 could be looking really juicy, not just for people personally, but for the economy of the world. But what do we need to do first? We need to restructure. We need to get rid of the old and get the new in. So when these two come together, it's very much like that. Saturn represents old things and Jupiter represents new opportunities. So it's quite literally out with the old, in with the new, but it's also about a new structure. So I'm going to be covering the signs because I don't want this video to be too long, because I want to get ready for Diane. Depending which order you see this video. So I'm going to let rip through the signs so you can understand what might be potentially happening for you. Now remember, this is in sidereal Capricorn over here, and the house will change depending on the ascendant. This is Donald Trump's ascendant. He's a Leo ascendant. If we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, he's having major restructuring, major changes happening in his 6th house. And the 6th house is a house of health and enemies. Anyway, that's maybe quite simplistic, but it does stand to reason. So I'm going to start with Aries. Because they're the first in the zodiac and they like being first. It does mean Pisces will be last, but I'll try and give you a little bit more detail. So if you are an Aries ascendant, or moon is also relevant as well, but the ascendant is the most pertinent because the ascendant shows what actually turns up in life. The moon is how you feel about things in life, and of course how you feel about life can also depend, also as well what turns up. So the two can be used, but primarily this is for the ascendant. So for those that are their sidereally, their ascendant is Aries, or in the West, it might potentially be Taurus. So this grand conjunction is happening in your 10th house. This is the house of career, name and fame, and public duty. So basically, this people that are a true Aries ascendant will be having a lot of restructuring happening in their career, particularly in the next couple of years or so, while Saturn and Jupiter, or particularly Saturn, is in his own sign of Capricorn. So this could mean it could be starting, it could be having a new boss, for example, because the 10th house deals with bosses, or maybe you become the boss, or you change, or you decide that you're going to change your career. You might go into a different direction. If you've not been happy with your career, you might decide, you know what, it's time to kind of jack it in and do something new. Or it could be a leveling up. You could have more responsibilities, certainly more responsibility, but that will need to be matched with discipline. But Jupiter will bring the opportunities for you. If you are an Aries ascendant, it means that Jupiter is the Lord of, or you, let's see, let's go to Aries. Oh crumbs, I can't work it out on this one. So it would be, let's see here, Jupiter would be, that's it, would be your 12th house Lord. And if we count back, 12, 11, 10, 9. So 12th and 9th. So that means changing, a good change in your philosophy, in your beliefs, and you might be going on long distance travels as well to kind of deal with these new changes. So you could be traveling, it could literally mean traveling for your career, but that will be the major focus for the next 20 years. What you start now in this time period will have a reverberation for the next 20 years. So it's a big deal. So if you're going to be making changes in your career, or you're thinking about making changes in your career, now is probably the time, because go with the energies, because it's happening already. Right, let's go on to Taurus. So if you are a sidereal Taurus, or what could be down for you Western as Gemini, either ascendant or moon, then this conjunction is happening in your 9th house. Now the 9th house is about what? It is about, it's about beliefs. It's about learning from travel. It's about gurus and education. So you could be seeing a big restructuring in your education. You might be wanting to go to college, or you might wanting to learn more, or you might be getting more philosophical, more interested in religion or other cultures, or even learning languages. The 9th house is a very expansive house. It deals with travel. It deals with opportunities. It's the luckiest house as well of the triconal houses that we identify in Vedic astrology. It could also be a very either challenging or very interesting or changeable time for your father, because the 9th house also represents the father. So it could be a case of maybe you might be thinking of just staying put and doing what you're doing, and then all of a sudden your dad rings you up and says, oh, I'm going off on an adventure, or I'm changing my religion, or I've just been reading these amazing new books recently, you must read this. So all of a sudden your dad could just start recommending books to you, because the 9th house is also the house of publishing, but it's also the house of higher learning as well. So you may be reading more. In fact, when you think of this lockdown, you've probably had a lot of time to read, reflect, and maybe you've learned some really important and pertinent things, and you're thinking like, might be time to change those beliefs, or those beliefs have changed and now you might be more ready to actually put those into action. Maybe you don't want to live a certain way anymore, and you might actually be just changing your whole standpoint to how you approach your whole life. So this is a very interesting time. The changes you make now will have a long-lasting effect and will set you up for the next 20 years. Okay, so if your ascendant or moon is Gemini, what does this mean? You are having the and again, if it's Western, it will be the sign ahead, which may be Cancer, depending on how far along you are in the house. So Gemini, this is happening in your 8th house. Dun, dun, dun. Now, the 8th house is a house of drama. It's a very dynamic, powerful house. It is a difficult house, but it's one that deals with transformation. So this could be like I said, major themes of transformation, understanding yourself, self-motivations, getting healthier, because this also deals with sudden changes with health and stuff like that, meditation and esoteric studies, or even detoxing. So you may be just finding that you want to kind of transform yourself in some way. You might want to change your diet, or you might want to change your finances, because the 8th house also deals with finances, or the finances of others. So it could be that you're in a relationship with someone and they've gone through a massive financial change at the moment. That may seem obvious given the times, but this is how astrology works. We know that COVID has thrown a spanner into the works of many people. So many people will be in this scenario, but particularly the Geminis, or the spouses of Geminis, may be dealing with a shock in their finances. But not only that, it can also be an opportunity to make more money as well by being dynamic, thinking of different income streams, because the 8th house deals with the finances of others. So it could be, say if you've launched a business recently because you're just like, oh my goodness, you know, the chop has come for my job, or I feel like I'm getting the job, might get the chop, then this could be the time where you kind of take that little side hustle that you might have had on the sides, and you really actually put some energy into that, and you try and transform that into something higher and much more powerful. This is dynamic. So for the next couple of years, especially for Geminis, keep an eye on that health of yours. And this is no joke, I really mean it. Like when you've got Saturn in the 8th house, this is that time to really restructure, get healthy, eat the good things, all those good foods that you know you should be eating. I'm not assuming that you're eating bad food, but for those that are, you know, like a little bit of too much of the naughty stuff, this could be the time where Saturn might make you pay for that, because he is the planet of karma. He's in his own sign, so karma is speeding up. You've probably noticed this as well anyway, just in general, karma speeding up for everyone, good or bad. So this is that time to really take on that healthy diet. You don't have to be a saint, but this is a good time to really look after your health, so that when Saturn is scanning through your house and kind of, you know, making his little judgments, he gives you a little tick in the box rather than an X. But this is a great time to transform and really level up spiritually, intellectually, and really finding a new sense of drive and purpose for what you want to do. And the plans you initiate now are going to be very transformative, and probably Geminis in many ways will probably have the most transformative experiences out of anyone. And I can say that because my moon is in Gemini, so things have been busy, but it's been great as well. So lots of transformation. Let's go on to Leo. Leo, so if you have a Leo ascendant or a Leo moon, or you are Virgo in Western, so remember Western goes ahead a sign, pretty much Vedic astrology goes back by almost a sign. It's around about 24 degrees, so it's not complete. So it's worthwhile checking. You can look on the websites, free Vedic astrology websites. Actually, Joni Patri has a free pardon me, chart calculator, so you can try hers and have a little peep. Right. So actually, no, did I jump to Leo? I was supposed to do Cancer, wasn't I? That's my ascendant. Anyway, Cancer. This is happening in your 7th house. Saturn, Jupiter coming together in the 7th house. So what does that mean? Relationships. Dealing with the outside world. Business. So some people may either get married in the next couple of years, because Saturn for Cancerians is the 7th house lord and the 8th house lord. Oh joy. And let me tell you, it's Cancerians have a lot of luck in general, but if there is one area where, you know, we get the boot kicked in, it tends to be in relationships. It's not the same for all, but most of the time. And the reason why is because we have the planet of restriction, Saturn, Shani, who is in charge of the 2 key relationships houses. So we often have delays, or just stuff just goes up the spout, or we marry late. But what tends to happen is when you do find that special someone, it tends to last, because Saturn likes to make things last. So if you are a Cancerian and you are single and it has just been tumbleweed or bum crumbs for years, and you're just like, oh, where is my romance? Let me tell you, things will start turning around. If you're on internet dating sites, you may notice that you're getting more attention. People may start looking in your direction more. But if you are already in a partnership and you're already married, this could be a significant strengthening of your marriage. This is a good time to review your marriage and think about where you want to go with your partner over the next 20 years, because what's initiated here is going to have that long lasting an effect. So this is that real time to kind of look at your significant relationships, see if you want to stay in those relationships, or maybe it's time to go, who knows. However, Jupiter is also there. Now, Jupiter is opportunity and expansion. This is a great time to be in business, Cancerians. If you started a little side hustle, like I was saying to the Geminis before, if you started a little something on the side because, you know, COVID and all the dodginess, and you're like, ooh, I need to think of something, then this could be over the next couple of years where that business really begins to blossom. Because the 7th house is not just our spouse, but it's the outside world. It's also another house of name and fame, but it's dealing with others. So if you're shy and you're thinking like, oh, I'm not sure, get over it, because this is the year to actually make those things happen. While Saturn is in there in the 7th house, he's also going to be aspecting your 1st house. I don't know about you, but let me just tell you this. Saturn likes things slim, yeah? He cuts off excess. If there's a little bit extra there, whoop, comes off. And for Cancerians, Saturn will be looking at their 1st house, which deals with the body. And I don't know about you, but over lockdown, I lost 2 stone. It just fell off. And a lot of that was because of Saturn's aspect. But I changed things up. I started eating healthier, well, blah, blah, blah. And I think just basically Saturn did the rest. So this could be a real time. This is also a time to streamline your life. Think about what it is that you want to do. Simplify, declutter, reevaluate your relationships, but also more importantly than anything, this is about business. So if you've got a business idea, many Cancerians are entrepreneurs. This is the time to kind of get stuck in. Yeah, so go for it, and it will have long lasting changes. Right, Leo. I hope I'm still on the right page. So Leos, lovely Leos. I've got a soft spot for Leo. I've got a lot of planets in Leo. This is happening in your 6th house. This is challenging. The 6th house is a Dusthana house, so along with the 8th and the 12th. So it just means it's a difficult house. However, it is a house of fitness. It is a house of routines. It is a house of health and healing. It is a house of pets. It is a house of colleagues. It's a house of enemies. This is the time, if you want to deal with your enemies or your debts or things like that, because remember, Jupiter is money. Saturn can also represent debts, yeah? So this is the time to restructure your debts. So it could either be that you try this year or the next couple of years to pay them off. So if you do have an opportunity to pay off your debts, do it. You will feel so much better. However, this could also be a time when you might actually be taking on debt. But if you're going to take on debt, take on good debt. But it could be, for example, this could be the time when you might, for example, might go for a mortgage, or you might be kind of buying a new car. Or it could be that you could be selling things off, or just restructuring in general. This is about health. This is about routines. Some of you might be becoming much more interested in your fitness, or even kind of, if you're a personal trainer, your routine has changed, because maybe now instead of training people in person, you might be training them online, or you might be outside in the park. So people in the fitness industry, you know, they've seen a big change in that respect. This is also a great time as well, Leos, to be counseling people, giving people advice in terms of coaching. So it could be health advice, it could be personal development, helping people streamline their jobs and their careers. Leos, you may be dealing with colleagues as well. Some of your colleagues may be a pain in the whatever. Or it could be that you're working more closely with people at work, or particularly if you're the boss, which is likely, being a Leo, this is the time to really actually pay attention and look after your subordinates and your employees. If you don't deliver and you go on with too much shade, or you throw a diva hissy fit, and I can say that because I've got a lot of Leo in my chart, it's not going to be good. That might be the time they decide to walk out the door, because if you can imagine, 6th house is daily commute, travel, work. It's all those kind of nitty-gritty things that we don't like doing so much, but are at the same time essential. So if you think of the 6th house, it's like the essential workers. If we think of that in the context of COVID, wow, big changes. And if you're the boss, your employees are going through a lot of change. So use that warmth, use that compassion, use that leadership to lead your employees to higher ground and really look after them, just like we know all good Leos can. It will be transformational for you. You be the good guy, which of course you want to be anyway, and naturally usually are, but particularly if you're the good guy and you help the little guy or girl, this could be very, very powerful for you, and it could also help you overcome lots of resistance and lots of obstacles. So just bear that in mind. All about routine, all about reviewing, and look after your health as well. A bit more salad, a little bit less wine. All right. Okay, so Virgo. Let me have a little slurp. Halfway through. Okay, Virgo. This is all happening in your 5th house. Saturn, Jupiter coming together in the 5th house of creativity, the 5th house of children, the 5th house which deals with legacies and things that last beyond ourselves. It's also the house of giving advice and counsel to another person, which is why it's so closely associated with astrology. This can also deal as well with stock market and with speculation. But for example, Virgos, like I said, sidereal Virgos, so if, or it would be Libra in Western astrology, depending on how far along, but this is Ascendant and Moon. This could be the time to actually start a family. This really could be it. So say like, for example, if we think that Saturn is restriction yet structure, and then Jupiter is opportunity and children, what that says to me, maybe some people might be going through IVF cycles right now. This could be the time when it actually works, you know, where Saturn's going to be like, you know what, I'm going to let that manifest, because Jupiter's going to be bringing that opportunity. So for those that may be kind of going through that, or really wanting a child and they've been having some difficulty, this could be where, you know, Jupiter helps Saturn ease up a little bit. This is also the great time for writing books or dealing with some kind of master work, or some kind of work that takes a lot of effort you may have been working on for a long time already, and this could be the time where it becomes complete. And then when so you complete this task, and then Jupiter gives you the opportunity. So if you've been grafting away, working on projects for a long time, you really could see some relief right now. The 5th house is a very fortunate, very lucky house, and you've got 2 manifesting planets in there. So, you know, this could be a very interesting time for you Virgos. Also as well, the 5th house is a house of fun. So this is almost like taking your fun seriously. But for once, Virgos, put down the pen, put down the broom, put down whatever it is that you're doing, and actually look to structuring your fun. I know that might sound silly, but you really need to kind of prioritize that over the next few years. There's a lot of stress going on, and Virgos, you know, we're known for being stress heads. My son is in Virgo, so I can understand that detail-oriented thing, thinking about all the different things, worrying about COVID, you know, because, you know, Virgos are well-known germaphobes. Also take the time to take a breath. If you are in a partnership with a Virgo, this is the time, or if, you know, one of them is your lover or something like that, because the 5th house also deals with lovers and romance, give them a massage or something like that. Get them to relax and try and calm down, because this is about creativity. All those projects that you've been kind of had on hold or quietly working away, this is the time to complete them and then share them with the world. So lots of opportunity. Right, Libra. Now for Libras, this is happening in your 4th house. Now this is an interesting one. So with my notes here, so some of you, many of you might actually be moving home, because the 4th house is the house of home, and it deals also with, as well, with real estate and stuff like that. But it could be that your significant other or yourself could be either purchasing a new home, because Jupiter obviously is opportunity, or you could be moving. You could be moving house, maybe because of things that have happened with COVID, or maybe you're having to move back home with the parents. But either way, the theme where Saturn will be sitting for the next couple of years is in the 4th house. And this is called something which is called a Sasha Yoga, which means rabbit yoga. So it does put a little bit of anguish and stuff like that. So I feel for you Libras that might be wrangling and just being thinking, oh gosh, why is this happening now? But you know, that's what it's like. The planets moves and they restructure. But you need to remember as well that Saturn is your yoga karka, which means that he is the planet that is able to bring about positive results. So if you work hard and if you're disciplined and you go with the flow and you try to remove fear from your heart, because that's what Saturn can put a lot of fear in there, but you're going to have Jupiter in there as well, so it's going to be expanding the opportunities. So for example, if you're a Libra and you're a female and you're married to a male, your husband could be going on about redecorating, refurbishing, moving, selling, buying. He won't shut up about real estate, or he might be having opinions on your mother or something like that. Or what can also be happening, you can have your mum call up and she's saying, I'm going off, I'm having an adventure, or she's buying a new house, or she's doing some refurbishing in the house, because the 4th house is also the house of the mother. So let me just make sure I've not missed anything there. Yes, and so yeah, also as well, your mum might go off on an adventure to find herself, who knows. But so everything is all about home for Libra. It's important sorting this out, because of course home in particular is also an angular house, the 4th house, so it's going to have a long-term effect. So look at these things, look at the opportunities, balance it out. But if you feel it's a bit too much, then maybe put on the brakes and consult again, because it will have a big effect. But this could also be the time where you actually just move, and sometimes actually Saturn actually forces the move, so you never know, because of COVID and all the ramifications of that. It could just be a case that you might have to up sticks. If you have to, and you're a Libra ascendant, then you know why. But there's also a lot of opportunity there as well, so don't be afraid. Take a deep breath and go with it. Yeah, go with it, and it should bear fruit. Right, Scorpio. Scorpios, this is happening in your 3rd house. So again, that's Ascendant or Moon in Vedic positioning, or Sagittarius. Many people that are Sagittarius don't realize they're actually a Scorpio. So this is happening in your 3rd house. What is the 3rd house? The 3rd house is a house of courage, of a house of desire. It is a house of self-efforts and siblings as well. So there could be big restructuring there. So if you've been thinking about doing a business, now is the time, because the 3rd house is very much about entrepreneurship, along with the 5th house as well, which is speculation, but 3rd house in particular, because it's much more to do with your hands. But it's also education and learning. Let me make sure I've not missed anything. And short distance travels as well. So if you're not doing a business, it could well be the case that one of your siblings suddenly opens a business, or just be like, you know what, I'm going for it. Or it could be a close colleague, because it can also represent close colleagues and neighbors as well. So there's a lot of dynamic, there's a lot of stuff going on there, but it's going to be very much focused on your efforts and your hands and what you're prepared to do and what your desires are. So this is the time to really focus on what it is that you want to do in terms of personal projects and initiate them if they've not been initiated already. Projects itself, started projects or connected with self effort started now for you Scorpios will bear fruit with time, because you've got Saturn and you've got Jupiter together basically kind of manifesting. And also as well, if you are a Scorpio ascendant, then Jupiter rules your second house. So even though we're talking about the third house, the Lord of the second, of money and finances and values, will be in the third. So Jupiter is basically going to help you kind of profit with your with your new ideas, but you must be bold and you've got to be prepared to put in the effort. Okay, won't happen on its own. Right, next, Sagittarius. This is happening in your second house. Isn't this powerful? Think about it. Second house of wealth and finances, values, food. You're going to have Saturn in there, which is structure and restriction as well, but let's call that discipline. But at the same time, Jupiter's going to be in there, and although technically debilitated, he's with the Lord of that house. This could be quite remarkable for Sagittarius people, you know, really could. You could actually, if you get it right, if you cross the T's and dot the I's, and you do the necessary restructuring, this could be the time when you actually really start getting your money going. Somehow the carefree wheeler dealer, you know, out there, I'm just going to go with the faith, you know, Sagittarians, might actually start getting serious about their money. You know, if you're a yoga teacher, or you've got a vegan practice, or you know, you deal with kind of coaching and higher learning, or you're a teacher of some kind, for some reason you're just thinking, whoa, 2020, I just need to sort my money out. You're just gonna feel it. But especially from through 2020 to 2021 and 2022, those ideas and stuff and rechanges and restructuring that you initiated over this time period when this conjunction happened could really bear fruit big time. So if you're a business owner looking at your money or different ways, different sources of income, do it now. Get that research done, even though it's a pain to set everything up and all these different kind of things. What you set up and what you structure well, Saturn will reward. Not just Jupiter, Saturn will be like, well done. You know, you'll get a stroke rather than the usual slaps that we get from Saturn. He's very powerful, so we do have to abide by the rules, but at the same time we need to be optimistic. We need to see those opportunities. And of course, as a Sagittarius, Jupiter is the ruler, your planetary kind of ruler, and so you're really going to be getting into the nitty-gritty, because Capricorn is no nonsense. You need to know where your limitations are and then try and go beyond them. So this is about serious manifestation here. So if people have accused you of being a bit woo-woo and a bit out there, or always going off on a holiday at the drop of a hat, still have fun, but look after your money. Yeah, this is the time. Right, okay, Capricorn. Wow, this is happening in your first house. Kaboom, big changes. Basically, you've got Papa, who is the ruling your chart, you know, Saturn in your first house with Jupiter. These people are going to be going through a kind of like a rebirth, like a major rebirth. Again, if we think of the COVID situation, there could be a lot of Capricorns out there who have had their foundation shook to the core. Now, we know our lovely Capricorn don't like change so much. Remember, they're the sign of structure, you know, discipline, you know, doing the right thing, rules and regulations, you know, delaying gratification and stuff like that. And quite a few of them have just probably had a real absolute rotter because particularly as well, Saturn was going through the 12th house for anyone that is a Capricorn Ascendant or they've had the Capricorn Moon, in which case you're going through Sati as well, which means like 7 years of trials from Saturn. So the Capricorns have really been kind of going through it quite a lot, but this is your chance for rebirth. You know more than any other that this is the time where your decisions really count. The changes you make now really count. The changes you make now are going to have a long repercussions, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. See it as an opportunity. This is a real opportunity to change. If there have been some stickling things about yourself that you've not wanted to face or not wanted to deal with, now's the time to deal with it. You've got Jupiter, planet of optimism, helping you out, planet of gurus. Yeah, you can find someone that really knows their stuff, or this could be the time where you take your business to the next level, or you go to that bank and you ask for that loan, or you embark on that diet and exercise regime that you've been putting off for years. This is the time to let rip and really go for it and get that ratchet body that you've always been after. Yeah. Because Saturn gives a lot of structure and a lot of discipline, and when he's in the first house, you know, you're going to have that. You may have even just lost weight from worry. Yeah, from worry. That alone is just probably, you know, stripped off a few pounds, or maybe, you know, over lockdown you kind of guzzled it in to kind of make yourself feel a bit stable. Time to end all that now. It's time to get a balance, time to work it out properly. And if you don't feel like you can do it for yourself, find a guru. This is also equivalent as well for the Cancerian ascendants again, because Capricorn is opposite Cancer. Yeah, so again, it's a similar thing, but not as intense. For the Capricorns, this is real restructuring, looking at everything, root to branch kind of stuff, where you're like, right, that's it. So you're either going to be like, I do not want 2020 or its ilk to ever happen to me in my life again. And you might get so hardcore that you just literally just tear out the kitchen sink and you really build things up. Or it could be, you know what, I'm really gonna expand. I'm gonna expand my mind. I'm gonna travel more. I'm going to give myself more optimism, more opportunity. Because remember, Jupiter is also the planet of optimism as well. So maybe you've been too strict. Maybe you've been too hard on yourself. Yeah, maybe you've just been, you know, you've taken on too much responsibility. So this might be a time for you to lighten up as well. Maybe you've been under a lot of stress and you just realized, you know what, there's nothing I can do about certain things anyway. And you're coming to a place of acceptance, because remember, Jupiter is also the old ruler of Pisces, and Pisces is all about what? Surrender. So you might have to just surrender to the process, let go and let God and let rip. So this is all happening in your body and your personality, and you could be even changing your image. This could be the time to kind of throw out those old clothes and get yourself a nice snazzy wardrobe to match that new body that will emerge probably after Christmas. We are going into Thanksgiving and Crimbo after all, but you know, in the new year, really get on it. And if you write it down, and if you do make a commitment, stick to it. That's not something one would normally have to say with Capricorns anyway, but you know what I mean, because this is like a reset button for you. Okay, let's look at Aquarius, and we're nearly there, and then we'll be dealing with Pisces. So Aquarius, this is happening in your 12th house. Lord, let me sip. All right, this is a big deal. 12th house, difficult house, yeah, Dustana. But it means travels, long distances. It can mean losses as well, and endings, things coming to an end. This is time to wrap stuff up. If you're an Aquarian, either in Vedic Aquarius, Ascendant or Moon, or Pisces, you might know yourself as in Western astrology, this is the time to actually let things go. This is the time to quite literally let go and let God. Let things go. Any baggage that you might have, someone that might need forgiving, if you really know deep down that they deserve it, forgive them, because actually you're going to be helping yourself. If things have been okay for you, it's probably been stressful, it's probably been challenging, but this is also that time to go off on those long distance travels when we can actually travel again, or if you can go into a window where you can travel freely. Or if you're in America and you're stuck within America, America's still a huge place. Go to the Rockies, the mountains. Be with nature. Nature will be your biggest guide and your biggest healer at the moment if you're going through stuff. This could also affect your sleep. Saturn, you know, in the 12th house is well known for, you know, rattling the windows and turning over the bed. So it can be quite difficult to sleep because there can be a lot of worries on the mind. However, remember Jupiter is there as well, giving you that spirituality, giving you that inspiration. This is that time to really go within, look inside yourself and see how you can change your philosophies, or maybe your philosophies have changed. Maybe, you know, COVID has brought on a kind of a new reflection, a kind of an epiphany of sorts, where you're like, wow, my goodness, you've probably learned a lot about yourself, but you certainly will be learning a lot about others as well. And when this conjunction comes together, this can really be that time, even of going on spiritual pilgrimage, or maybe taking up yoga. Meditation will help a lot. It will especially help your sleep, especially as this aspect is going to last for quite a long time for you, because Saturn does stay in the sign for approximately 2.5 years. You know, he goes forwards and backwards, but he'll be in that ballpark for a long time. So this really is that time to kind of look at those things and look at what you can let go, but also to embrace new philosophies, new ways of looking at things. This could also be as well what you're going to do with your retirement, if it is a retirement time, or what you're going to do with terms of foreign people, things from abroad. The 12th house also deals with foreigners. It could be a case that you might do some foreign investment, or you may buy a property abroad, or you might just feel, you know what, I need to get away. But once may not be enough. You might need to go on almost a kind of a pilgrimage of some sort. You might be itching to get away. You've probably been, you know, been dealing with restrictions and lockdown, and Aquarians, out of everyone, probably want to get out the house the most, because the 12th house is very expansive, it's very far reaching. So it's the time of going within, but also traveling out there. But more specifically, nature. Nature's going to ground you. Nature is going to help you out. This is a time to reflect. This is a time to philosophize. This is a time to kind of look at your life and the life of others, and really understand why things have happened as they have done. And also as well, you know, just be prepared, just to be prepared to, maybe many of you have been saying some goodbyes, or maybe even didn't have the chance to say goodbye to people with what's been going on. So this could be also a theme that's happened where unfortunately there's been loss. If you have lost anyone, and this also as well goes for anyone watching this video regardless of their star sign, just understand this, that death is a transition, it is a transformation. They are still there on the other side, and they look after us, and they still love us, and we can tune in when we go through our heart. We can listen to those that may have moved on or passed on, or it could be a case that your children have gone to college and you're feeling a bit bereft of the empty nest. But this is also a time to read, philosophize, learn new things, really deal with some of those higher, more faluting areas of life, and see where it takes you, and take it step by step, and also look after your health as well, because the 12th house also deals with hospitals. It deals with prisons as well, so I'm not saying that's going to happen for any viewers here, but it can also be a case as well that loved ones may either be in hospital, or you need to look after your health to make sure that you don't go there either. That might sound, you know, a little bit kind of like ominous, but you do need to understand Saturn is your house lord, so you will have some protection. But this is that time as well. I would say get out and exercise in nature, meditate, maybe do some astrology, learn a bit more about that, but also as well take up yoga, and you should be tickety-boo. And when you do get that chance to go on an adventure, maybe in wilderness, go for it. It's going to be very healing for you. Right, last but not least, we are at Pisces. So for you guys, this is happening in your 11th house. Oh my God, the 11th house of great gains. Can you believe it? So, and it also deals with friends. This year, or what you initiate this year, when the conjunction happens on the 21st of December 2020, you could see a marked change, because the 11th house is friends, powerful people, organizations, distribution systems, all sorts of complex, wide networks, but it's also known as the house of gains. And this is a very manifesting time. So for Pisceans in particular, if you cross the T's and dot the I's, my goodness, you could be in for some windfalls this year. If you get your ducks in a row, because we know Pisces has a little bit of a reputation for not being that structured and being a bit woo-woo and, you know, maybe not necessarily being the disciplined, because most disciplined, because Pisces is all about expansion, going with the flow and letting go. And you know, letting go and let God is very much a Piscean thing. So you don't really need to lecture, well, one doesn't need to lecture Pisceans about letting go. What's more interesting this time, this is actually going to be about structure. You're going to have to pay a lot more attention to Saturn, who's going to be tapping you on the shoulder and being like, you know, have you done your inventory? Have you sorted things out? The systems and structures that you put in place now could lead to potential gains. And when those gains come, they could be big ones. And of course, it depends how big your structure is, how many people that you're benefiting, of course, tends to be in proportion to how much to one gains. I'm not saying that you're necessarily going to win the lottery, but there is that potential where if you restructure things in the right way, you really could be Mr. or Mrs. Moneybags, you know, by the end of this. So look at your life, look at your friends as well. This could be a time as well where you may be changing your friends, or your friendships have changed already. Why so? If you think about it with the big C, I think a lot of us learn really who our friends are, didn't we? We learnt within ourselves who we really wanted to hang out with, because you know what, if you've only got a limited number of people that you can hang out with, then you're going to choose wisely, and you're going to pick those people that are most pertinent, isn't it? A lot of people realized as well with the COVID that they didn't have as many friends as they thought they did. Tough one to kind of realize, isn't it? It's a bit of a slap round the chops. But nonetheless, it was true. It was true. Come on, we all knew it happened, and it's all right. This is life. These are processes. These are energies. So for Pisces, this is that time to really kind of look after that network, particularly things online, social media, Zooming, Skyping, all of those various different things. And when you can meet up with friends, COVID safe, of course, and assuming you're both negative, then really networking is a big factor, particularly as well. Let's talk about maybe about more like 2021, 2022, big time, when we can actually move again and stuff starts to kind of turn out for the better. You're going to find powerful people will potentially be coming into your life. There has been a lot of restructuring in the whole world. So that's the factor as well, and but it will be worth it. And basically the changes that you make now to that social circle, to the systems that you put in place, when you really knuckle down and put in that discipline and put in that structure, put those fantastic Jupiterian Piscean ideas with a bit of backbone and a bit of structure, could really be something extraordinary, because you guys can think out of the box anyway, you know, dreaming and whatever. So try not to escape too much. Obviously have your little escape, you know, movies and blah blah blah, and stay off, you know, substances, you know, and I mean that in the most respectful way, because this can be a Piscean trait. Of course, you know, liquids, you know, booze as well and all that stuff, you know. However, this could be a fantastic time. You get this right, honestly, you really could be laying the foundations. Now, of course, it depends at what level that you're at. You know, if you're struggling to make ends meet and, you know, you don't have 2 pennies to rub together, you know, that's life as well. But what you do with those pennies, and when you look to restructure that, could lead to significant gains. It doesn't mean necessarily you're going to find, you know, £200,000 or dollars in your bank account, but you could suddenly turn something that's quite a humble wage, maybe with a little bit of side hustle, with another little bit of collaboration over there on the other side, and all of a sudden you could be earning maybe 2-3 times what you would normally earn. And that's a significant improvement regardless of what your starting level is. So it's about networking. It is about going out there, organizations, getting structure, but also as well keeping that optimism, because your Lord is Jupiter, and he's gonna be in your 11th house. which is extraordinary, and it will also be receiving a trine from Rahu as well. So if you work this out, we could be looking at some big changes for the positive here as well. Bear in mind, you may also as well have changes with your eldest sibling, because that also refers to the 11th house. So they could be going through some big structure, or even they could have a windfall as well. And you never know, you might benefit from that. So I hope that was really helpful for everyone. If you would like a consultation with me, then of course please click on my website, which is called the archetypalblueprint.com. Those that are subscribers to Diane Aquarius Tarot, I do have some special offers for you. So you can have 30% off my Fate and Destiny reading, or 50% off my chart overview reading. You just need to put in uppercase letters Diane, so D-I-A-N-N-E. So the one which is 50% off, I think, is Diane 1, and the other one that is 30% off is Diane 2. Let me just make sure. Yeah, Diane 1 is 50% off, Diane 2 is 30% off, and that is till Halloween. So that is basically Diane like this, Diane 1, and then Diane uppercase, and you put either the 1 or the 2, if you're depending on which reading that you want, and that will automatically discount, and so I can share the love with her wonderful subscribers. Thanks so much. I hope you've enjoyed that. Also as well, feel free when you pop onto my website to set up to my sign up to my newsletter, where you can see my predictions. Particularly look at the predictions I did for March this year, 2020. So much has come true in the States at this pivotal turning point. Look at that to potentially see what else could be happening. This is a very fateful election. But aside from that, please like or subscribe and share with your friends. And it's been wonderful doing this. And good luck as well for this new conjunction coming up on the solstice, December 21st, 2020. And this is a new time to manifest structure and change in your life. All right, thanks so much, and catch you soon. Bye-bye.